Hello, and welcome to this video on tuples in Python. In this video, we will learn what tuples are, how to create them, how to access their elements, and various operations that can be performed on them. You might be wondering now, what are tuples, and what is the difference between them both? Let me explain in simple terms. Tuples are similar to lists, but unlike lists, they are immutable, which means that once a tuple is created, its elements cannot be modified. This means that you cannot add or remove any elements. Tuples are defined using parentheses and can contain any number of elements. Let's say you're organizing a team-building event for your company, and you want to keep track of the participants' information. You decide to use Python to manage the data. Let's discuss a real-world example before we dive into more details on tuples. Let's say you have a list of employees attending the event, and for each employee, you want to store their name, department, and employee ID. Instead of using a list or a dictionary, you can use tuples to represent each employee's information. Here's an example. In this example, each tuple represents an employee's information. The first element of the tuple is the employee's name, the second element is their department, and the third element is their employee ID. Tuples are useful in this case because the information for each employee is fixed and shouldn't be modified. Tuples are immutable, meaning their values cannot be changed after creation. Since employee information like name, department, and employee ID typically remain constant, using tuples ensures that the data remains unchanged. You can then store these tuples in a list or use them in other parts of your program to perform operations like searching for specific employees, sorting by department, or generating reports based on the employee information. By using tuples, you maintain the integrity of the employee data and ensure that it remains consistent throughout your program, making it a suitable choice for situations where you have fixed data that doesn't need to be modified frequently. Let's create a tuple to see how it works. Here we've created a tuple named my_tuple containing 5 elements. We then print the tuple to the console, and we get 1, 2, 3, hello, world as the output. But first notice in this code the difference in the brackets used for lists and brackets used for tuples. In lists we use the square brackets, and in tuples we use the round brackets. If we try to change the value of one of its elements, you won't be able to do so, because as I mentioned at the start, tuples are not changeable. Let's take a look at an example and see if we can make a change by replacing the value 0 by 6. If we run this now, it will throw an error and say tuple object does not support item assignment. This will result in a type error because tuples are immutable. Now that we have a tuple, let's see how we can access its elements. You can access elements of a tuple using indexing, just like with a list. Let's create an example for that and go through it. The code creates a tuple named my_tuple containing 3 elements: apple, banana, and Sherry. It then accesses the element at index 1 using the square brackets notation and prints it. In this case, the output will be banana since indexing starts from 0 and banana is at index 1 in the tuple. We can access the elements of a tuple using their index, just like we do with lists, which we will see in the upcoming lessons. Let's keep on moving ahead now. You can also use a for loop to iterate over the elements of a tuple. Let's try that out. The code creates a tuple named my_tuple containing 3 elements: apple, banana, and Sherry. It then iterates over each element in the tuple using a for loop and prints each element on a separate line. It prints each element of the tuple in sequential order, 1 element per line. Don't get confused about the for loop here that I used. We will cover for loops in the upcoming lessons. Let's move to the next scenario now and talk about concatenating tuples. Concatenating tuples means combining two or more tuples together to create a new tuple. It involves creating a new tuple that contains all the elements from the original tuples in the order they appear. Let's check this with an example. In this code, two tuples, tuple1 and tuple2, are defined with different elements. The plus operator is used to concatenate or combine the two tuples, resulting in a new tuple-tuple3 that contains all the elements from both tuple1 and tuple2. When the print statement is executed, it displays the contents of tuple3, which would be apple, banana, cherry, orange, grape. The original tuples remain unchanged, and a new tuple is created by concatenating the elements of the two original tuples. This is what we mean when we concatenate tuples. Let's now take a look how we can slice a tuple. The code print my_tuple 1 to 3 is using slicing to extract a portion of the tuple my_tuple. The slicing operation 1 to 3 specifies a range that starts at index 1, inclusive, and ends at index 3, exclusive. In this case, it will print the elements at index 1 and index 2 of my_tuple. The element at index 1 is banana, and the element at index 2 is cherry. So the output will be banana cherry. Let's take a look at unpacking tuples. Unpacking tuples refers to the process of assigning the values of a tuple to multiple variables in a single statement. It allows you to extract individual elements from a tuple and assign them to separate variables simultaneously. Here is an example. In this example, we first create a tuple called my_tuple that contains 3 elements: apple, mango, cherry. We then use tuple unpacking to assign the values of the tuple to individual variables, a, b, and c. When we print the values of a b and c, we get this output of apple, mango, and cherry. Unpacking tuples can be useful when you want to conveniently access individual elements or assign them to different variables for further processing. Since tuples are immutable, we cannot modify their elements. However, we can perform various operations on them, like concatenation and repetition. Let's take a look at an example. The code demonstrates various operations on tuples. Tuple1 plus tuple2 concatenates tuple1 and tuple2, resulting in a new tuple with elements from both tuples. 1, 2, 3, hello, world. Tuple1 asterisk 3 replicates tuple1 3 times, creating a new tuple with the repeated elements 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Tuple1 returns the length of the tuple, which is the total number of elements in it, 3. Hello in tuple2 checks if the string hello is present as an element in my_tuple, and returns true since it is indeed in the tuple. These operations showcase how tuples support concatenation, repetition, length calculation, and membership testing. That's it for this video on tuples in Python. We've learned what tuples are, how to create them, how to access their elements, and various operations that can be performed on them. I hope you found this video useful. Thank you for watching, and let's catch up in the next lesson. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more informative lessons on Python programming.